you start seeing me profusely sweating, I am not fainting, but my apartment is out of air conditioning. The air conditioning in my apartment is not working. So that's been fun. Hopefully they'll fix that before I'm dead. So it is hot in my apartment. It is hot in New York City, but I'm doing my best. There's been some more revelations that have come out in Flint. There's also news in North Carolina, where I just was, in regards to the Gen X chemical that's been found in the Cape Fear River. I'm going to start with Flint and then get to North Carolina, start sharing this video. Views are generally down over the summer, which is unfortunate. I guess people are out playing hooky from work at the beach or something. But please share this video. Let's get it out there. And if you live in New York City and have working air conditioning, I might have to come stay with you since mine doesn't work. But a story came out. Basically, there were more charges filed against people involved with the Flint water crisis. One of them was Eden Wells, who was the chief medical officer of Michigan. And emails came out saying that she tried to conceal things, tried to conceal facts with the Flint water crisis about the lead and other things. So I want to read this to you because I think common sense would indicate there's something fishy going on if the chief medical examiner was doctoring data or not being completely truthful. That would kind of make connections to the governor, Rick Snyder. So I'll read you quickly from the Detroit News. Michigan Chief Medical Officer Eden Wells was trying to conceal information related to the connection between Flint's lead-contaminated water and a 2014-15 Flint Legionnaires outbreak. A Wayne State University professor contends in an email exchange this year with Wells. Wayne State professor of medicine Marcus Zervos accused Wells of trying to, quote, suppress our findings of the serious deficiencies in the investigations and mitigation efforts of the state and Flint area health departments related to Legionnaires' outbreak, according to early March emails the Detroit News obtained from the state in an open records request. Zervos was referring to a Wayne State-led investigation in which he was participating that was studying whether Flint switched to the Flint River water in April 2014 was responsible for a Legionnaire's disease outbreak that killed 12 and sickened 79 others in the Flint area. The state of Michigan contracted with the Flint Area Community Health and Environment Partnership in March 2016 for the $3.1 million study. The legal team of State Attorney General Bill Schuette has charged Wells with lying to a special police agent and with obstruction of justice, a felony punishable by up to 2 years in prison. A court document shows Schuette's team hopes to prove its case with planned testimony from Zervos, who is also division head of infectious diseases at Detroit's Henry Ford Health System. Schuette's team alleged that Eden Wells obstructed justice by, quote, threatening to withhold funding for the Flint Area Community Health and Environment Partnership if the partnership did not cease its investigation into the source of Legionnaire's disease outbreak in Flint. The emails provide insight about the prosecution's case against Wells, who became the state's part-time chief medical officer on May 1st, 2015. She became a full-time official on February 1st, 2016, about 4 months after lead contamination in Flint's water was publicly acknowledged and less than a month after Governor Rick Snyder declared Flint to be a state emergency. I don't have to read you the rest. Share this video, let's get it out there, because I can't imagine that the chief medical officer of Michigan, who is not a cabinet official, but pretty close to Rick Snyder, can't really imagine that she is basically trying to get investigations shut down into Legionnaires without Rick Snyder or his office knowing about it. You know how Rick Snyder said, oh no, I didn't know anything about the Flint water crisis. Nobody told me. I didn't know that residents were having problems for a year. I didn't know that they were having lead in, were complaining about lead in their water. So you think the chief medical officer is threatening independent studies of Legionnaires without a little bit of pull from Rick Snyder or his administration or officials close to him? I got a bridge to sell you. Now, in fairness, I don't have proof. This is speculation, but I mean, the bottom line is, this is how state politics works. One hand doesn't do anything without the master puppets knowing. Rick Snyder, it has been shown, has tried to suppress investigations and full data from coming out related to the Flint water crisis. He also will not give up any of his emails prior to 2014. Michigan is one of the most repressive states in terms of freedom of information requests. So why would Rick Snyder not want any of his emails prior to 2014 released? Those are emails that would show some of the thought process, some of the statements he might have put in writing regarding the Flint water crisis. Why wouldn't he want those out there? Maybe because some of his emails are to people like Eden Wells. Maybe. Maybe because some of his emails have to do with what the state and what the governor, what kind of investigations or information they wanted out and which ones they didn't. And most governors, state officials are careful what they put in writing, but if you have the chief medical officer in writing threatening a body that's doing independent research and study on the connection between Legionnaires and the water switch, well, I don't think she's doing that on her own. Common sense would dictate. And my reporting in other areas, it's like Chris Christie says, "Oh, I didn't know they were, purposely causing problems on that bridge." I mean, either these governors are complete idiots or they're complete liars, and I think it's a mix of both. But the point is, when you read that Wells was obstructing justice, threatening to withhold funding for the Flint Area Community Health and Environmental Partnership, if the partnership did not cease its investigation, threatening funding comes from the top. It comes from governors or top aides to those governors. And Rick Snyder could put his head down and pretend that, he wasn't aware that there were major problems there. But at the end of the day, Rick Snyder had ambitions to run for president. Remember this. Rick Snyder had national ambitions, whether it be president or vice president. It was beneficial to Rick Snyder for as little information, damning information, about who knew what where and how bad the lead crisis was there, and possibly that the lead crisis of the water switch might have contributed to Legionnaires, which did kill people in Flint. That was not beneficial to Rick Snyder. So the people working, chief medical examiner or the head of Health and Human Services, who was also charged a week ago with involuntary manslaughter, if it's not beneficial to the governor, it's probable that the marching orders came. Shut down these independent investigations. Shut them down. And let me know if the feed is good, because I'm getting some comments that it's breaking up. But Rick Snyder, the chief medical officer, they're not doing things independently from each other. So I don't believe that the governor was not aware of what the chief medical examiner was doing. I don't believe that the governor was not aware of what the head of Human Health and Services was doing. In local and state government, people don't threaten to shut down investigations without getting that direction from the top. And if you believe that, or you have doubt about that, I got a bridge to sell you. Which brings me to Governor Rick Snyder, who is defending these people who are now being charged with involuntary manslaughter. Headline, Michigan Governor defends cabinet members charged in Flint water crisis. Shocker. Michigan Governor Rick Snyder was less combative when criminal charges were brought against 10 state officials over Flint's man-made drinking water crisis, or government-made. Now, with 2 of his own cabinet members facing manslaughter or other charges, he's keeping them on the job and defending their names despite calls for their removal. Health and Human Services Director Nick Lyon and Chief Medical Executive Eden Wells are the highest-ranking officials to be charged in Attorney General Bill Schuette's investigation of lead contamination and Legionnaire's disease outbreak. Unlike other state officials previously charged, they're closer to his immediate orbit and report directly to him. So there I go. They report. They're cabinet members. They report directly to him. So you think that they were trying to shut down investigations into Legionnaires or bacteria or anything related to how bad it really was without Rick Snyder's say-so, without Rick Snyder's direction? Come on. Do you really think that? It seems in America, if you are a high-powered executive, meaning the governor, if you are getting donations from all around, from the fracking people, from the banks, from the usual suspects, you literally would have to shoot someone and kill them on camera to get charges filed against you. That's what it seems like. And even then, who knows? They might have been in fear of their life, which we're starting to see with these police officials around the country. It's absurd at this point. Cabinet members charged with involuntary manslaughter. Cabinet members via email suggesting or actually instructing, shut down your investigations into Legionnaires and other things, or we're not funding you. Why is it that Rick Snyder's emails prior to 2014 are not being subpoenaed? Why is it that his emails are not being demanded? Doesn't it make sense if his cabinet officials are being charged with involuntary manslaughter, cabinet officials who report directly to him, that we would like to see as the citizens of Flint, journalists, just Americans, will want to see what kind of communication was he having with these cabinet officials? Did he know about the threats they were making? Was he instructing them to do this? How many other government officials or governors around the country do things like this all the time, but we don't know because their emails are not demanded, their documents are not demanded, the corporate media does not challenge them? How many others? Should Rick Snyder just get a free pass because he takes money from fracking, from banks, from big oil, and does their bidding? And this isn't about retroactively trying to punish people. This is about you have to punish the powerful when they poison the citizens, or else it's going to continue to happen. And I can't prove to you Rick Snyder was instructing these people or knew about it because he won't release his emails. I would love to read his emails and see there is no connection and say, you know what? He had gross recklessness. He had a grossly corrupt and idiot and a poor executive, but there's no proof of criminal wrongdoing. I would love to tell you that. But unless I break into the offices Watergate style, I can't find out because no journalist has been able to get their hands on his emails. So why isn't State Attorney General Bill Schuette subpoenaing Rick Snyder's emails? Does it have anything to do with the fact that Bill Schuette wants to run for governor? He's a Republican and doesn't want to piss off the same donors that have donated to Rick Snyder. Have anything to do with that? It's tricky business when you're a Republican state attorney general in Michigan. You want to run for governor. The citizens of Michigan don't really have an appetite to elect or vote for another Republican governor after this Republican governor oversaw the poisoning of citizens. So you don't particularly want to try to file charges against the governor or subpoena his records or emails when you need his donors to donate to you. The new charges have fanned speculation that Snyder could be next, this story says. But Schuette says there's insufficient evidence. The probe will continue even as the emphasis shifts to prosecuting those accused. How do you know, State Attorney General Schuette, that there's insufficient evidence if you don't have his emails, if you haven't subpoenaed his records, his emails? How would you know? Doesn't it make sense if you have emails showing that the people as part of his cabinet were threatening independent investigations to shut it down or you're not going to get funding? Doesn't it make sense to check if he knew about it or he was directing it? I mean, that's common sense. And this isn't only about the citizens of Flint. This is about citizens across America. We cannot find out about corruption if A, the corporate media doesn't cover it, but B, if you don't have access to all the documents. That's what the First Amendment is about. That's what the press is about. That's what freedom of information requests are about. But we can't get access. I've tried the FOIA. Other journalists in Michigan have. You can't get them. And Snyder has no answer for why he won't release those emails. Well, if you're not going to make your emails accessible, I would think you're hiding something. What do you think? Is he hiding something? I think Rick Snyder, who I believe I think is out of office. His last year is next year. Michigan residents watching can correct me if I'm wrong. I think Rick Snyder is hiding something. But the only way to know is to have access to his documents and his emails. We want access to all of Trump's people's emails and documents, right? To see if they colluded with Russia and, investigations, this and that. Don't you think it's important to want access to the governor of Michigan who presided over the poisoning of citizens there? I'm not saying he did it intentionally, but doesn't that make sense? Why would we care so much about Russia investigations and emails about Russia, but not access to the documents and email from the governor of a state that poisoned its citizens? Really what you're saying is, well, Russia's more important than justice for Flint. Not to me. Not to me.